Okay, I play Rowan, who doesn't seem to have a last name, but that could be her last name. I have no idea. She's a fish out of water, as far as the circumstances go. She is not familiar. She's very familiar with Jason, unlike I think the rest of the characters, and it's her job to kind of fill them in and hopefully save everybody's life. She, at one point, was a project leader of, I don't know, a project that was basically trying to kill him, find a way to kill him. They finally caught him and tried to kill him, and of course he doesn't die easily. So it was her job to kind of come up with some ideas of how to destroy him finally, or stop him, or put him away. And accidents happen, and she gets frozen, and as does he, and they wake up a few years later. I think she's a very strong person, and in her time, she was sort of a woman living in a man's world to some degree. And things are a bit different, 400 some odd years into the future, that she has to adjust to that. The fact that her word will be taken seriously by some of the people, by one character in particular, not at all, but by the other characters, it's like, yeah, absolutely, everybody's an equal member here, everybody can help out. Plus, it's just the whole complete chaos in her life at this point. She's got nothing left. She doesn't know. It's sort of like Ripley in Aliens, or an Alien, sorry. And yet there's this one thing that she does know, and that's Jason. That kind of gives her an anchor. Oddly enough, in a really sick and twisted way, it gives her an anchor to sort of plod through the events that are happening, because even though she's in a completely different environment with new toys and new tools and new weapons and all this new stuff, he's still there, and she can't really escape him.
I play KM-14, who is kind of like a science droid. She takes these kids on, she goes along on this field trip to Earth to find artifacts, to kind of see Earth. We find 2 cryogenically frozen bodies, and we bring them up to the spaceship. And I remain kind of a lab tool for part of the movie until things get kind of desperate with Jason, and they kind of alter me, and they tweak me. And I become kind of a killing machine. I become kind of a android with a tick and go after Jason.
Janessa is described as the sex kitten with claws to match. As with all films about young people, there's a lot of sexual tension. And it's something that Janessa is very comfortable with. She has no problem at all sort of working what she's got and playing that. Sexuality is an important part of who she is. It's an important part of how she relates to other people. So she's intensely flirtatious with every male. Yeah, just the males on the ship at this point, but we're only at the halfway point, and is having an affair with her professor, which is kind of an interesting thing. And we're trying to sort of ride the fine line there of how much of that is for their mutual benefit, and how much of that is her trying to get a great grade. How devious is she? We're not sure yet.
He's the teacher. He's there, he's in command, he runs the whole ship, and essentially sells them out. But yeah, I'm in charge.
Well, Waylander, what he is, he's one of the students that are with Professor Lowe on the expedition back to the original Earth. What Waylander does with the rest of the group, he basically, a lot of the functions of the ship is what he specializes in, as well as the lab functions. While they're down on Earth 1 and they find these bodies, they radio back to Waylander, say, get everything ready for when we come up to dissect whatever it is we have. So that's kind of his main functions, is making sure that the ship's running properly and that all the labs are set up to do any type of experiments that we need to do. Yeah, I mean, he's not the technical genius. I mean, Sonoran is sort of the genius whiz kid, and Waylander's kind of like your auto mechanic. He makes sure that everything's running smoothly, and he knows the technical jargon, and everything's running okay, but he's not a whiz per se. He's having fun. So, he's a fun guy. Everybody kind of likes Waylander. He's pretty laid back, but he's excited about everything that's going on, and he kind of, makes sure everybody's taken care of. Too, he won't back down from anything if somebody else is in trouble as well. So it's fun to play.
What would make the world like Brodsky? As I said, I think Brodsky cares. I think the one aspect, yes, he's a big man, and yes, he's sort of, he does his duty, but he cares about everybody within his charge, even the people that may not be so good. His first priority is to look after the people around him. And I think that that kind of old comic book hero is really what Brodsky displays, and hopefully we've been able to convey that.
I mean, Kane is great. I remember the first day he walked on set, and all I had is the image of Friday the 13th in my head. You know, I never met the actual man. And he walked on, he had his full, you know, Jason Voorhees regalia on, and it sent a little shiver down my spine. You know, it took me back to that, you know, 14-year-old boy who was watching him, you know, on Friday night. And it's just, I mean, he's great, but it's just weird when you see that. It's such an icon to be a part of the whole process now. I would have never dreamed it, but I'm having a blast doing it, you know?
When I was in getting a costume fitting, he was all done up in his spacesuit, and he was all creepy with the contact lenses and everything, and I didn't know he was there. And I was standing by the desk, and they tricked me, and he was standing right behind me. So when they turned around, there he was standing there, and he's like 6'8". He's huge, right? So Kane as a man is just big, but put him in all that garb, and he's even bigger. So it just scared the crap out of me. So that it doesn't take a lot of acting to run down the hall when he's coming at you. So.
Kane Hodder and I have an interesting relationship. He terrifies me. When he's Jason, absolutely frightens me. So one of the ways I have to compensate for that or to deal with that is to really, from a distance, sort of take him in and then kind of suck it up. And as Uber Jason, he's got these amazing red contact lenses. So he's got these piercing red eyes that are so frightening. So I had to kind of deal with that and then sort of suck it up. And Kane, you got a little pink eye going on there. Oh, pink eye, you need some drops? You know, you've got to use the humor to get over it, the frightening situation. But Kane knows that I'm frightened of what he does. And he also knows that when I'm playing my scenes, I'm very careful to be intense and to be real. So we're aware of each other's process. So we don't really talk, but Kane will come on set and we'll do kind of one of these. And then we sort of go our separate ways until we meet.
It was a bit freaky because when I met Kane, he's a very big, physically imposing man. It was a very nice person. And then to see him in his getup, and the first time I saw him when I was filming, before he became Uberfied, he had the prosthetics on his head, but not the mask on yet. So it's sort of, you know, he's still Kane, and oh wow, that's really neat, and you can see the fact that the prosthetics aren't real. And I turned around, and I was doing something, and I turned back, and he had his mask on. It was like, It was a bit freaky. And the first time he came on set in the Uber Jason outfit, with the chrome mask and the contact lenses, it's really, really scary. Like it's sort of, at one point I'm getting strangled by him and I'm looking directly into these, I don't know, cat-like eyes that are just peering out of this mask, and it's frightening. It's really odd and very scary.
Well, it's the funny thing is he doesn't say a word, and he's so ominous on set. So as far as a dynamic, I just run. When I see him, I just want to get out of the room. That's it. So yeah, he just scares the out of all of us. So yeah.
I do have, I in fact only have one scene with him. But the scenes where he is close by, I'm the one telling everyone to calm down, relax, everything's going to be fine. And once again, of course, I'm wrong. But no, I do have one scene, and I plead and beg for my life. It's very, very sad. But I think the audience will like it.
I actually laughed. I laughed a lot. I mean, the funny thing was when I got the breakdown for the audition, I was Friday the 13th, part 10. I kind of looked at my agent and said, I didn't know there was a 6, 7, 8, and 9. And when I got the script, I laughed because I thought, what a perfect way of adding a new twist to the whole story.
I liked it. It was surprisingly funny. It was there's whimsical moments and humor, and that surprised me. And I thought that was great because it can be a nasty sort of daunting affair, and to have some moments of humor and some lightness to it, I think not only makes it more real, but makes it more believable, and I think more enjoyable for everyone in the end as well. So when I first read the script, I was surprised at actually how funny it was. It has changed. There's always revisions and things like that, but that was my first impression anyway.
Yeah, this is a different Friday the 13th in that it incorporates that element of sci-fi. And I think it appeals to kind of the teen crowd, also to the sci-fi crowd, and also to the horror crowd, like the fan base. The one thing about this script that appealed to me is that there's a lot of female hero kind of figures in it. All the women have attitude, all of them are strong, all of them are fighters, all of them are intelligent. And that's one thing that makes this script different than some of the other horror films that are out there. Like, the chick is typically kind of dumb and always trips and always breaks her leg. And in this one, they don't. They're pretty capable.
When I got it, I remember, thinking, okay, it's going to be a slasher flick. They're very popular right now. And I read the script. I was so thrilled. After I read the script, I thought, it's going to be special effects. They're not going to really worry about the acting. And it was really good. Like, I was reading the script going, this actually works really well. The story actually works quite nicely. And Jim was very adamant on, there's going to be stuff blowing up and there's going to be special effects, but I want to make sure that the acting is solid underneath that. So it builds to a special effect. It builds to something. So it's not just special effects for the sake of special effects. It's, we have these wonderful acting moments and then lead us into the super stuff that we have in the film. So that's what's been a lot of fun to work with, because it's not just about, slash, kill, blow up. It's about the internal workings of each of the characters and how they relate to one another and how they work with one another and how they react to each situation as it happens. And that's been great. That's been a lot of fun to work with.
Before I started playing the character, there were 6 different guys that had played the character once each. So I did part 7, and I became one of 7 guys, which I was pretty happy with. And they, I guess they liked what I did, and they asked me to continue doing it, and here we are again. I love playing the character, so I'm happy to be back. Anybody here could tell you my process. I do, before a violent scene in particular, like a kill or something, I do some method type growling and pacing around, which helps me get my energy up and makes everybody else laugh at me. But it helps me come across with the right energy, because when you're in a suit, like the second version of Jason in this movie, you have to really exaggerate your movements and your head turning and everything. You have to exaggerate it because of the suit. It kind of minimizes what you're doing. You think you're doing everything really broad, and it doesn't come across like that because of the suit. So you really have to concentrate on making everything bigger than it feels like it should be. And then I do other things like kind of avoid the actors as much as I can, because I don't like them to get too familiar with me, because then when it comes time for them to die, I want them to be a little scared and, make it a little scary on the film. And that's why, I'll leave things like showing them this.
That's good.
I enjoy playing the character, so.
See, end of the day. Is that real?
Oh, that's real.
You're kidding.
That's tattooed in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, see what's on my back. I do various appearances around the country, just not in costume or anything, just as myself, signing autographs, you know, meeting people, go to conventions and speak. I've done the college lecture circuit for a long time. I've spoken at, I think, 66 colleges around North America, and it's just fun. I like doing that stuff. Plus, I get involved in a lot of charity things. I was burned seriously doing a stunt the first year I was in the business, so I get involved with burn centers as much as I can. We're working towards trying to get something going here in town, because I know from experience how nice it is to have somebody come in and talk to you while you're in the burn unit that has been burned themselves. It's invaluable for your recovery. Well, I'm not sure how much we're talking about it, but he kind of gets regenerated and becomes much more of a killing machine than he has ever been before, and more indestructible type. Different weapons, which is always nice for me, and it's just a whole different look. There's still parts of the old character there, but you know, it's definitely a new look. But we still see the old Jason for a long time, so you get both.
I mean, we'll see Jason as Jason that we know and love, but we will also see Jason in a whole new light. We'll see a new character. He's killed in this movie and comes back as Uber Jason, and he's totally different. Very cool looking and very scary.
Jason gets an upgrade. Yeah, he gets upgraded. He becomes Uberfied, and another character sort of becomes Uberfied, and so she's the worthy adversary, I think, finally. And that's the great thing, is because so many times Jason just annihilates everyone that, you know, we've got some characters that actually fight back, and on his terms, on Jason's terms, in that same sort of like obliteration sort of way. But he still comes out on top, still manages to be a worthy foe.
We've worked very hard in writing the script and drawing out the characters. We've worked hard to make them, again, each of them have their quirks. It's not a movie where you can dive in and take too long with all the individual characters, because ultimately that's not what the movie's about. The movie is about Jason. It's about very cool effects. It's about scaring people and doing all those things. But there's time in there to weave in some interesting characters, and I think we've done a pretty good job of it. We've worked hard to try to make it interesting.
In casting this film, I think Jim did a really interesting thing, and he didn't go the typical way that horror films can go. He didn't cast victim girly girls. He didn't cast buxom buxom blonde chicks. And in casting me, he went a little bit older, like she was supposed to be a 19-year-old android. He cast me a little bit older, and I think it's so interesting because by doing that, he made the character kind of more of a mother to the kids, more, there's just a different dynamic going on. I mean, everybody, even like Janessa, who plays like this young hottie, you kind of think she would be blonde with big boobs, right? I mean, not that she doesn't have big boobs, but she also, like, they're kind of tweaking her character so that she's actually more of a brainiac. Interesting things like that, you know? It's special about this film, I think.
He's relentless. You can't get rid of him. That is what it is. People are like, enough already, he comes back, and enough, and he comes back. I think that, you know, you can't escape him. You go to the grocery store, and he's there, and you go to the laundromat, and he's I just revealed a little bit much about my everyday life. He's the ultimate nightmare. He's the creature that is under the bed, you know, and no matter how many times you turn on that light, you know that he's there. You know that he is there and he's coming. And it's, I think, our deepest human fear is to be helpless, to not be able to help ourselves or the people that we care about. And suddenly you're faced with this seemingly indestructible force, and you're utterly helpless, and it becomes about bare-bones survival. And that's pretty scary.
Jason is like the tide. He's a man on a mission. He's coming forward, and nothing is going to stop him. And in fact, all the characters that we really like are people that are possessed with a goal, with a mission. Now, clearly he has a very negative goal. And to root for Jason is sort of like riding a roller coaster. You get at the top of the thing and you go shooting down and everybody puts their hands up in the air and goes, yeah! You know, but it's a way of looking at stuff that is really scary. And Jason as the boogeyman is the unstoppable force that just keeps coming towards you. You can never really kill or defeat the boogeyman. The most you can do is fight him to a draw. And I think that's what happens as we just go round after round with this guy, trying to hold him back, fight him to a draw, buy ourselves more time. And to the extent that we do, and we do it in front of our friends, it makes us kind of feel good.
It is challenging. He comes with certain rules, things that he can and can't do, things that Jason wouldn't necessarily do. We're stretching it a bit. Kane Hodder, who's been Jason, who is Jason, certainly has his own ideas of who Jason is and what Jason would do. We just make sure we talk all the time, and I make sure that I don't do anything that he's uncomfortable with. But on the same hand, I want to make a story that's interesting and exciting and new, and so part of that is making Jason a little bit more exciting. Jason still does what Jason does. I mean, Jason sneaks around and looks scary, and he's not going to do anything that true Jason fans would be upset about. But he's not just walking around in the dark, being scary that way. We've also have, of course, our Uber Jason, which is one of the things that we pitched. Is that one of the reasons I want to bring it up to put it in the future and bring it into space? Is that one of my ideas was, listen, we're in space, it's in the future. Let's make a robot. Let's make a robot that fights Jason, and let's kill Jason. Let's do something that has never been done. Let's just kill him in the middle of the movie instead of the end of the movie, and we'll come up with something that's even bigger and better and more interesting than Jason. Not to say that we won't go back, but just for this particular movie and this particular story, Uber Jason is serving us very well. I mean, he's a whole new Jason. He looks great. It gives me a little license to make him look a little different and act. I mean, he's still Jason, but he can be a little quicker. He can do a few little things that just amp it up a bit. Most horror films have some humor in it. And we're trying to do that as well. Personally, I enjoy it. I enjoy it when if I go to a movie and I'm scared, and then I can laugh a little bit and I can feel something. I mean, I really would like this to kind of be a roller coaster ride of emotions and scares and visuals. So yeah, we are, tongue-in-cheek is probably too far. We're not going tongue-in-cheek, but we're having fun with it. I mean, Jason's going to scare us, and he's going to kill people, and it's going to be really creepy and scary and very visual. But at the same time, we're going to have fun with it and do some wacky things that I think will pay off. And we just need to find that balance.
After having made 9 movies using Jason, we were completely baffled as to how we could make another movie that had anything new or fresh or that was worthy of the fan base. There are an awful lot of people out there that are attached to the Friday the 13th series, you know, and they want something new, they want something better. But you can't do the same thing over and over and over again. I think there'll always be a market for horror films, but not for the same horror film. I mean, I don't know that Friday the 13th would be successful if it were released today. It's 20 years old. So we had to find some way to do something new, but still keeping Jason at the center of it. And Noel and Todd Farmer came in one day to the office and pitched me on this idea of, what about Jason in space? I said, what are you, nuts? And he says, no, Jason in space. And they started to pitch me this idea, and I said, gosh, I don't know, maybe? He said, let us work on it, you know? And so they went off and came up with a treatment and worked on it and came back, and I looked at it and I said, geez, this is a terrific idea. Because everything that the horror audience would like to have is in there. But it's got new locations, new characters, new technology, twists and turns that you would never expect. So it's a way of creating freshness and rejuvenation into the series that I think is going to really, I think the fans are going to be very, very happy.
It's interesting. Like, I find this more of an action film than a horror film. Like, it's scary, there's suspense in it, and it's scary, but it's not. Okay, maybe there is gore. Yeah, maybe there is gore, but the scenes that I'm involved in are a lot of action. And because I'm an android, I don't bleed, right? So.
This one's gonna be good, because we're in space.
This is the best Jason. This is a whole new generation of Jason. I think they've managed to bring him into the present, and he is going to take the audience further, I think, than they've ever gone before. This is a good one.
I think the storyline and the thought process that went behind it. I mean, a lot of sequels from films, you know, they're taking on the original and they don't really do a whole lot to expand it. I mean, we have some wonderful twists in this one. We get to see a lot of new things. A, that it's set 400 years in the future, so it allows a huge creative license with the Jason character. I mean, you can do, you know, the future, nobody knows what we're gonna have in 400 years, so there is no realm of not possibility. Nothing is impossible 400 years in the future, and I think that allows him to grow. You know, I mean, at the beginning of the film, he is the Jason Voorhees that everybody has come to know and love. But by the end of the film, we get to see a different version of Jason that nobody's ever seen, and nobody, I think, would have ever imagined when they did the first one. So I think that's what will make this one have an impact. Even though there's been 10, it's been evolving from 1 through now. So it's not the same guy. It's not the same thing. It's not the same shtick. You know, there's always, I think, another level that he goes to.
It's a trip. It's kind of neat, actually, because there's that whole twist on the idea of, you know, Jason, this serial killer, this, you know, icon of horror films, that everybody knows who Jason is in the Friday the 13th movies, and yet there's this whole different twist to it. So it's really neat, and I'm a bit of a sci-fi fan, so, you know, to tie it into the future is just takes it completely out of the norm. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun.
If you take Jason and you stick him in a summer camp, there's a limit to how many teenagers you can run in and out of cabins and around trees and put them in a rowboat and then put them in a sailboat, or, you know, hide in a truck. But you run out of interesting things to do. Coming here, everything is new and everything is fresh. You don't know how stuff is going to work. You have brand new technology. This is the technology of the future. You have nanotechnology. You can put sick people back together again. You have all kinds of stuff, weapons of destruction that never existed before. It allows us to do completely unpredictable, scary scenes and kills and whatever. It's a wonderful environment for this kind of a movie.
Just amazed by the possibilities. I mean, the fact of a really technical special effects work on a genre, a really popular genre, it's a real challenge and really interesting thing. So I love the script. It was funny as well as having its horrific content. So definitely an interesting challenge to take on.
The fact that it starts off one way and ends a completely different way in the future with a new Jason, on a spaceship with, I mean, some of the characters, like Sergeant Brodsky's characters, I mean, that are actually strong enough. I mean, I'd have to say everything about it because it's so different from every other Jason film. That's probably what's going to stand out. In my mind, that's what stood out in my mind when I read the script.
In your mind, you know, at least I do as an actor, if you get a role like this sometimes, you think, okay, you know, turn off your actor, you know, just walk to point B, walk to point A, and don't even think about it. And here they're very complex people, and you get to find that out in this film too. It's very well established throughout that these are real people with thoughts and ideas and feelings, and they're thrown into this situation on top of that. But you get a real sense like we're all very distinct individuals. You know, all of, you know, Janessa, myself, Sonoran, KM, like even the droid has a very distinct personality and characteristics to her that I think feeds in to the film. And I think that's what makes it different from a lot of films that may be out there as well, that not only are these, you know, explosions and special effects going on, but these are real people in the situation as well. And that's what makes it fun for me as well, interacting with all of these different characters.
But one of the things that we wanted to put into this movie, and that would be different, I think, than some of the other movies, which is there's no reason for these people to be dumb. There's no reason for them to be just victims. There's no reason for them not to be really interesting and smart and funny and quirky and all the things that normal people are in real life. And then we amp that up even a little bit more because it's a movie and it's crazy. So I really wanted that. That went in there from day one. I mean, Todd and myself, Noel, Sean, we all wanted that. We wanted quirky, fun characters.
But in the other Friday the 13th movies, as often as not, the people involved in it were victims. These people in this story have a hand in their future. They are able to save their own lives or not, but they are empowered, they have stature, and they can handle stuff that people could never handle in the older Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah, I'm told there's going to be a lot of different things that we've never even come close to doing. And I can tell you that out of all the scripts I've read for a Friday the 13th, a Jason movie, that this was definitely my favorite, my personal favorite. From the first time I read the first draft that I was given, I thought, you know, I had a little hesitation when I heard about the storyline, but once I read the script, I was really happy. And, you know, having the same guys back that really enjoy working with the character, like Sean, of course, created it basically, and Jim Isaac is a fan of the character also, which helps me because he lets me, you know, have my input. Because I think when there's scenes that Jason's involved in, I don't think anybody really knows the character like I do. So they, you know, my input is appreciated, not always used, but at least listened to.
Yeah, I think it's also, it's nice because, you know, in a lot of films you can see who's going to die. They walk on screen and you go, okay, that person's going to bite it soon. And you just know that. Whereas with this one, because it's an ensemble cast, because each character has an integral part to play in the story, you don't know who's going to bite it. And when they do, it's actually kind of emotional. It's like, oh man, that sucks. I really liked her, or I really liked him. He was totally cool. That, you know, that's a way to sort of bring the audience in emotionally to the story.
Well, you know, I think what's great about this film is that it opens the realm of possibility as far as where Jason can go. Because I think, you know, people may think, okay, this is as far as he can go. You know, he's killed all of these people, he's done all this stuff, what more can he do? And then we have this film where you get a whole new twist on him, and I think it opens up the realm of possibility that it could be anything. You know, the next film could be another 200 years in the future, you know, or we could even jump back to somewhere, you know, in between before when we get to this film. So I think it opens up like a Pandora's box as far as possibilities go.
Oh, I think they'll really like it. And I think that lovely little bit where Jason gets upgraded, I think they'll absolutely love that. Because it's still cool, you know, it's all very, very cool and very, very just neat. That's a really lame word, but yeah, it's neat. So I think they'll quite like it.
There will be some hesitation, just like the hesitation I had myself. And I can feel it in the emails that I get. The people are saying, well, you know, Jason in this type of situation, and they're like, ooh, I don't know. But they inevitably end it with, but I'll still go see it. I'll still give it a chance because everybody is talking so highly about the project. So even though they have their doubts, it's not going to change anything. They'll still go and see it and realize it's a good movie. So
I think it will be maybe a refreshing change. I think the fans will still like the movie. I think in fact, I think they'll love it. And perhaps, you know, it's the 10th one, you know, a bit of a change might not be such a bad thing. To have the film updated, have the story updated, I'm sorry, to not only modern times, but beyond modern, I think will be refreshing. I think the fans will really like it because he's still Jason. And maybe that's the you know, the irony, and that's the enjoyment of it, is that even though he's in an environment that is completely unlike anything we've seen before, and yet he's still Jason, and then they'll go, right on, you know, he's still Jason.
I think the Friday the 13th fans will be very surprised because they will come in expecting a Friday the 13th movie, and they're going to get that, but they're going to get a lot more.
The fact that it's been too long, this is an excellent story with very creative kills, which I might add. which also we've kind of gotten away from, because, you know, without fail, the fans always talk about their favorite kills in the past films. And we're even recreating my personal favorite, all-time favorite kill, we're recreating in this movie. So people that know what kill is my favorite, you know what I'm talking about. I always talk about which one is, so you'll see another version of that same kill. And it's time for Jason to come back. People are ready for it, so. And as long as we come up with a good movie, which I know we're going to now, that people won't be disappointed.
I think the great thing about this core of fans that watch these movies, they do like all the special effects as far as the prosthetics and the, you know, the knives through the chest and all that jazz. But this one's going to be an extra treat because the cats that are doing it are the top of the field, and they have done tremendous work. I'll have scenes where, like, you'll see in the back when they're working on something. I can't get into it, but I'll just say a dead body of a certain person. And then they've got a whole body cast of that person, and it looks like them. So you walk by it, and your first reaction is like, it looks, they got the color of the eyes, they got molds of their teeth. I mean, it is spot on. They even have like the same flesh color of them. So it's gonna be, the effects as far as prosthetics and everything has been gone up a whole other level. And it's, and then when you throw in all the computer stuff because we're in space, I think they'll like it. I think they'll like it. I hope they do.
And I think we're trying very hard to be, to take Jason and be correct with him, and not to change his character and be loyal to the Jason character. At the same time, I want to amp it up, and I want it to be fresh and new and exciting. So I don't want to lose any of the things that we like about Jason, that scares us about Jason, but at the same time, yeah, we want to make it a little different. The good thing about space and the future is that it gives me just a little leeway. It gives me a little flexibility to make the visuals a little more interesting. It gives me a group of people. My cast is, the kids are a little smarter. They're in the future. They're on a spaceship. They're smarter. They're a little quirky, and it just gives me more toys. It gives me more visual toys and things for Jason to play with. It's still Jason. He does the cool Jason stuff. But I think, if anything, it's actually opened up a whole sort of bag of tricks for us with Jason. As long as we're consistent with Jason and don't have him do things that he wouldn't do. And I've got Kane here that's always there saying, no, Jason wouldn't do that. So I've always got that. And we're being very, we're being true to that.
But there are still a few surprises that are going to come out that, you see it as true diehard Friday the 13th fans cheering at some point when Jason comes back as Uber Jason, because the costume is so cool. And Kane is just so great with his physicalization of the character and everything like that, that I think they'll be really happy about that and just think it's really neat and cool and wild.
So I think just the fact that we have a great script, good performances from all the actors that I've seen. It's a good story, some creative kills, good violence, which we all love, that people are really gonna enjoy this movie, or I'll kill you.
I think one, it's simple. I mean, the hockey mask with the two round eyes, the way it looks, it's simple and scary. Because he has a mask, he's evil, he's death. He won't give up, he doesn't stop. He doesn't need to growl or make scary faces or have fangs. I mean, he's just this mask of death that keeps moving forward. And he has no moral, no sense of remorse. He's a shark, is what he is. He's a shark, he's a killing machine. And so you can't plead with him, you can't trick him really, you can't try to outwit him, because that stuff just doesn't matter to him. He's a straight line to you. So it's very difficult for you to fight him, because he just doesn't care. And he will kill you. That's what he does. He has absolutely no remorse whatsoever. And it's not really even a battle. He has no interest in fighting you. He can do your little mojo and all your stuff. He doesn't care. He'll just kill you. So he's scary.
His verve, I guess, is the word I can think of. I remember, I think in an original draft of this, he, not to give too much away about the story, but he kind of gets pulled apart and we're kind of dissecting him. And there was a thought of pulling out all the stuff that had been like shot in him or that he had done whatever over the years. And there were like bullets and like goldfish and all this thing. And his ability and just stronghold to survive and keep doing what he's doing. As a big of a villain as he may be, you think about his stamina over the years, that his one objective is to keep going to avenge his own death. I think is fantastic and phenomenal. And I think that's what has him the staying power that he's had over 10 films, is that he keeps coming back. You know, he has this will to keep coming back and achieve what he wants to achieve.
I'd say a lot of people, first and foremost, it's a genre that people have grown up with. It's fantasy. It's especially now, it's almost sort of flights of imagination that are going to take people even further. So the fascination with Jason, basically, I think is like with any genre that you grow up with, it's part of your culture. You know, and Jason has a place, I think, in most people's hearts. So that's the fascination. It's part of my life.
It's an icon. I mean, Friday the 13th, Jason, everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows that he's this character that won't die, this indomitable foe that you can't ever defeat, that will always come back. That, and I think one of the great things about this film as well is, A, it kind of takes Jason to a new level, and B, when we do think we finally get him, we don't. It's just the whole, he's an icon. He's an absolute icon.
There's obviously a massive market for it because the films have done so well, and I really don't know. I hate to say that it's some sort of a catharsis, but I think obviously people like seeing pure evil, at least in a movie, where they know it's a movie, they become familiar with the character, and I think Jason has become almost like a friend to some people, like a hero, an anti-hero. So I think that's the popularity lies in that people just, they get to put aside their real life and the goodness and things and get to have a bit of fun and be nasty for a little bit. And it's harmless.
You know, I've often tried to figure that out myself, and I don't know if I've really come up with a good answer, but it's just once people become familiar with a character like this, they like to see what's going to happen next, what else he can do, what else can be tried, to be done to him, and see what he can come out with. And people are looking forward to this movie so much. I get 50 emails a day on my website, just people saying, when's it coming out? What's it about? We know some basic storyline ideas that they know, and they just want to know more about it. It's been too long since they saw Jason doing bad things to people.
What do you think makes the series so successful? Honest to God, I don't know. When we started in 1980, my son, who's now producing this picture, was a little kid. He was in the movie. He was a little camper. At that point, we had done a soccer picture, and we were looking forward to doing a TV series based on the soccer picture. And as a way to keep the lights on, it was, I've got an idea. Let's make a movie. We could make a scary movie. And so we tried to figure out how to make the simplest, scariest movie we could, and that's what created Friday the 13th. And having done that, and it was never expected to be a big hit. Nobody expected it to be a big hit, let alone having gone on for 20 years. I've given a lot of thought to it, and I think it really comes down to its simplicity, that at its core, Jason is the boogeyman. He is the fear of untimely death. And to the extent that you are rooting for him or enjoying his participation, you're facing down your fears and just having it's a safe way to have a good time with things that are scary. I think that's probably at the core of it.
Totally. Oh yeah, the whole future aspect of the movie is a blast. Because most of the time, you would think that you were going to you know, maybe sit at a console, do whatever, but they have built, I don't know if you guys are going to show it, but they have built all these sets, I mean, literally from the ground up. What we're in now is a huge air base. So it is like you could take a baseball and throw it from one end to the other and it never hit the back wall. So they have like constructed everything from, you name it, from pipes in the wall to computer terminals and things that go jingle jangle like that, you name it. So it's massive what they've done. The pre-work is, yeah, it's incredible. I wish you guys could see it. Go have a look because it'll blow your mind.
The special effects on this film are so amazing. The visual effects, like the physical effects that are there on the day, it does help because, you know, when you see an actor that you've become friends with, and you walk onto the set, and there's this actor with a spike sticking out of his stomach and blood everywhere and blood coming out of his mouth. You know, it's a bit discombobulating that you see that and you go, whoa, that's really sort of creepy. And it does throw you a little bit that you can use that in a scene. And I mean, I try to, but I really only come across one character who's been that mortally wounded. Everybody else, there's another character that dies, but because of the way she dies, you don't really see it. So you've got to kind of react, and that's a hard one to envision, being sort of sucked into space through a grate. It's kind of ugly.
As far as I'm concerned, it's very serious. There are always light moments that are put into these films just so people can relax. But as far as the violence and everything that Jason does, there's no humor there at all. It's pretty dark. And I think that's what we needed to get back to a little more. More of how Jason really is, how scary he can be. And there won't be any light moments with Jason.
You think you know about Jason, but you don't. Get ready for the scare of your life.
Hi, this is Peter Mensah on the set of Jason X. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Derwin Jordan. Don't touch that dial. We're coming right back to the set of Jason X.
Hi, I'm Lexa Doig, coming to you from the set of Jason X. Don't touch that dial. Can you tell I was a TV host once in a previous lifetime? Hi! Just kind of lean forward and do that whole like TV host swagger thing.
Hi, I'm Chuck Campbell, and I'm on the set of Jason X. And you're not.
Don't touch that dial. We're coming right back to the set of Jason X.
I'm Jim Isaac on the set of Jason X, and don't touch that dial.
Hi, this is Peter Mensah on the set of Jason X. And do you think you know about Jason? Get ready to be scared.
So you think you know Jason? Get ready for the big surprise.
Hi, you're watching Jason X. You think you know about Jason, but you don't. Get ready for the scare of your life.
Hi, I'm Derwin Jordan. You think you know Jason? Wait until Jason X.
Welcome to New Line Cinema, Jason X website.
Hi, I'm Chuck Campbell. Welcome to Jason X, New Line Cinema's website.
Hi, this is Peter Mensah on the set of Jason X. Welcome to the New Line Cinema website.
Hi, I'm Lexa Doig, and welcome to the New Line Cinema Jason X website.
Hi, I'm Chuck Campbell, and welcome to Jason X, New Line Cinema's website.
Hi, I'm Derwin Jordan, and welcome to New Line Cinema's Jason X website.
Hi, I'm Sean Cunningham on the set of Jason X. Welcome to the Friday the 13th Jason X website.
Yep, I play kind of the nerdy scientific genius Sonoran, and I create KM14, who is a advanced knowledge matrix android, and she helps us fight Jason. And I won't spoil too much, but yeah, I kind of have a crush on her too. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, well, I think the most unique thing about this, right off the top, is the location. And the great thing is that you've got all, nowadays with the films that have come out, the technology has just gone through the roof. So you can do so much. And just from the range of when they were doing dinosaurs in movies, now with computer generation, you can do anything now. So you can have people going through walls, you can have explosions, I can be out in space floating around, you name it. So it looks pretty real. So the effects-wise are incredible. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I play, like I'm kind of, at one point I become kind of like a secret weapon against Jason. The kids alter me and I go in to kick his butt. But some of those scenes to film have been grueling. Like, they're fun. It's always amazing to play action, and I have a really cool costume, and they've rigged me up in harnesses, and I get to do somersaults and a lot of shooting with like guns that have been altered, but there's still quite a lot of kick to them, and a lot of effects and stuff, and a lot of physical work, which I love because it's, I mean, it gets your heart going, and it's not stop, start so much, you know what I mean? You get a little bit of a run into it and you get to the feeling that you actually worked that day. It's great, all that action stuff. Yeah, I guess the challenge for me is finding a balance between the regular KM and the super KM, and how do you actually portray an android? It's been done so many times in sci-fi, and it's been done brilliantly by Brent Spiner and in lots of different movies. So the challenge is to make it your own, try to find something that's charming, something that's part of the movie, something that's interesting to watch, and kind of a new take on it, because, I mean, it's been done a million times, so you want to make it special.